Welcome to the Lavender Bergamot Kitchen. I'm Laura, and today we are going to make a farmer's market salad. So we went to the farmer's market this morning and let ourselves just be inspired by what we saw on the stands. So this salad kind of started with these itty bitty teeny tiny squash, which our farmer calls squash kittens, which is fabulous. And so these are just, these will eventually, if they were left on the plant, they would get to be a normal zucchini size, normal patty pan size, but they're just picked a little early. And so because they're picked early, they're super, super tender. They really barely have any seeds at all. So they're the perfect time to eat your squash raw, which if you've never done before, I highly recommend. And I have also found in my work with kids in the kitchen that they really actually love raw squash more than cooked squash. And I think it's because the texture is a little crunchier and it doesn't get as kind of like a little soggy, like sometimes over like cooked squash can get a little bit like squishy when you put it in your mouth. And so they do tend to really, really like the raw squash. So if you have a kid who has not liked squash to this point, I would go ahead and try this. So I just really thinly sliced up all these little squashes. And I'm just gonna put that in a bowl. We also have some beautiful freshly picked tomatoes from Danielle's neighbor that smell fantastic. There's just a smell that vine ripened tomatoes get that there's just nothing like it. When they're picked a little bit early, they just don't have that smell. These are super juicy, and a lot of times in recipes for salads with tomatoes, they say to drain off the juice, but there's a lot of flavor in that juice, so I want it in my salad. So as long as I'm not worried about something getting wilty, I'm leaving all that juice in there. We also have some corn, which is beautiful. This is the bicolor corn. And so I'm just gonna do the last cut off. A lot of times you'll see people demonstrating how to cut corn and you stand it up top, but then the corn kind of goes everywhere. So Miv actually taught me this. You lay it down and you kind of cut it with a knife. Just cut the kernels right off there. And before you put this into the compost, make sure you milk the cob, which means that you take the knife and you're just gonna kind of scrape the cob and all the little bits of corn from the cob there. There's some delicious juices that come off. It's really, really flavorful. So if whatever you're making is gonna have a dressing anyway, definitely scrape that cob. And these are awesome to make a broth with too. So you can save your corn cobs and then put them in a pot and make a broth that's very corny for a light, summery soup. So I'm just gonna gather up all these kernels, pop them in here. And then the final thing that I have to add before we start adding just the dressing ingredients is this fabulous lemon basil, actually grown by the same farmers that grow these little squash kittens. And I'm just gonna do a really, really rough chop on these. I don't want it to be too fine, but I also don't really want whole leaves floating around in my salad. I want it to be a little bit better dispersed. Okay. All right. So that is our salad. For the dressing portion of it, we're just gonna do some lemon juice. Lemon and zucchini is a really fabulous combination, especially when it's raw. Of course, some good olive oil, a little sprinkling of salt. A lot of times in the summer, just salt and tomato is really all I want to eat. That salt really brings out a lot of little flavors. And then this is kind of a new thing that I heard about, which is to put some chili crunch on here. So if you like a little bit of spicy texture in your salad, just gonna give this a stir to make sure I get some of that delicious crunchy stuff from the bottom there. I'm just gonna put a nice big spoonful of that in there, maybe a little bit more. And that's gonna go really well with that lemon basil. It's gonna go really well with the tomato. It's just gonna bring a whole nother flavor profile to the salad, rather than it just being this like super fresh vegetables, which is awesome and would be great all by itself, but adding that little bit of something is really special. So we can't wait to eat this, and I hope you try it too, and let us know how it goes. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.